Welcome to Link G4x Training Part 25. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at working with our individual cylinder trims. Now, our individual cylinder trims can allow us to offset the fuel and spark timing into one cylinder or multiple cylinders in the engine configuration that we're trying to tune. So if we're seeing some kind of a flow deviation in our intake manifold design or exhaust manifold design that might be leaning out a particular cylinder, or if one cylinder is inherently more knock prone than the rest, for whatever reason, we can go in and either add fuel or take timing away in that individual cylinder. So we're going to go through how the individual cylinder trims work. I'm going to show you how to implement them and calibrate your engine using them properly. So without further wait, let's jump into this video so we can check this out. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at working with our individual cylinder trims within our PC Link software. Our individual cylinder trims are going to allow us to offset the fuel and spark timing in a single cylinder compared to the rest of the cylinders. So we can correct any kind of flow deviations going on in the engine and make sure that all the cylinders are going to have equal combustion and equal cylinder pressures. We're going to go and jump here from our basics page. Let's go into our fuel page here real quick. Let's talk about our main fuel table. Now in our main fuel table, this represents the base injector pulse width that's being calculated. So whether we're going to be in our traditional or model mode doesn't really matter. The values that we're moving the table up or down are going to determine what that pulse width is going to be. Now we have our injector dead time, we have our short pulse width that's going to be added to it. We can find the status of what's going on right here. So the injection effective pulse width, this is the base value calculated from the table. Then we'll find we have our injection dead time value. This is what's going in and having that offset to correct our dynamic and our static flow differences. And then we'll find we have injection actual pulse width. This is what's actually delivered to the injector. So this is the overall pulse width that all of the cylinders, that all of the injectors are going to receive. Now, if we're dealing with an individual cylinder trim, we can offset this amount of pulse width that's calculated by a certain percent. So if we're finding that a cylinder is not flowing the same airflow, if it's flowing less, the particular cylinder might run richer. We can lean out the mixture slightly, which would alter this overall injector pulse width that's sent to all the cylinders into that particular cylinder that's having the issue. So one thing that I need to point out here that's very important is that we can only use our individual cylinder trims if we're in sequential or semi-sequential modes. So if we go back to basics here, we've covered this in our injection modes. We can see right now it's locked on sequential. If we have sequential or semi-sequential, that means that we have a cam sync. That means we can determine where the engine's position is at any point in time within our auto cycle. So we're timing the individual cylinders, and we have an injector per cylinder that we're able to time based on the firing order, the engine that we're working with. So in this situation, when we're dealing with sequential or semi-sequential, we can then use the individual cylinder trims. If we're running in our multi-mode, which is going to be a batch fire mode, or having the throttle body based style injection, the single point, I believe it's called, in the injection mode style injection, where we're going to have a injector that's firing to all the cylinders, that's usually a throttle body based injection. We can't precisely time that to get the fuel into each cylinder evenly. So that's going to be just not a choice for the individual cylinder trims. And again, the multi-mode, the multi-point mode, that is going to be a batch fire injection where we're going to be firing the injectors either all at the same bank to bank, or we're going to be firing them in pairs in the firing order, and that's not going to be able to time things properly. So the individual cylinder trims are really only going to be applicable to sequential and semi-sequential injection modes. That's very, very important to know about that. But in that situation where we have the cam sync that we're precisely timing our injectors spraying in the auto cycle, we can then go in that situation and offset this overall pulse width that's sent to all of the injectors. So the next thing to understand here, if we jump into our spark timing table, the main spark timing table represents the base spark timing that we want to send to all the cylinders. Now, we have a couple situations with our spark timing. We're going to have a distributed spark, we're going to have a waste spark, and then we're going to have our direct fire or sequential style spark. In distributed spark, we'll find that we're going to be commanding the spark timing to happen here. It's going to send the signal to trigger the coil, and we're going to find that the distributor itself is distributing where that spark's going to happen mechanically between all the cylinders. We can't time and use individual cylinder correction on our spark timing when we're in distributed spark. Now, if we're in wasted spark, that's where we're firing two coils from one output, and that's going to be essentially having one coil fire in the correct orientation in the auto cycle, and the other one, it's going to be firing on the exhaust stroke. So it's going to essentially fire off a spark plug and not do anything. In that situation, we can use individual cylinder trims, but we can only use them paired to the cylinders that are going to be in that firing order for that wasted spark configuration. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.